Now when it comes to candle making in a field, we have done videos in the past in which we use this stuff right behind me, and that's called Japanese knotweed. The shoots are nice and hollow. They are perfect for making candle molds. But that's not the case today, because today we're gonna carve a candle holder. Now there's a little bit of a reason why I wanted to go over carving a candle holder compared to using something like bamboo or that Japanese knotweed. And the reason for that is if you were further in the backcountry, you're probably not going to be able to find those things, especially in the eastern woodlands. Japanese knotweed is going to be along roadsides and fields and things like that more than it's going to be deep in the woods. Same with bamboo. We don't have bamboo in this area, so it's going to be way easier if you have some wax with you to make a candle this way than it's going to be any other way. So now that that's out of the way, let's get started. What I did here was I grabbed just a green piece of wood. You want to make sure that this piece of wood is a little bit longer than the candle you are going to want to make, because when you carve this, you're going to need to leave the bottom intact. So to begin this process, we're going to take our knife and we are going to baton this piece of wood dead down the center. Now for today's project, I am going to be using a specialty tool, which this is a gouge. So a gouge is a curved blade that allows us to gouge out wood and make a nice concave shape. If you didn't have that though, you can always take your knife tip and you can make a V-notch. It's going to give you a square candle when you're done. It's not going to hurt the performance of the candle at all. It'd still be a fun project. But if you have a gouge like this, it's just going to make it a little bit easier and a little bit more fun. Now starting towards the bottom of the mold, I'm going to take my gouge and I'm going to start working right down the center of this piece. So I got down towards the end, I cut cross grain and cleaned it out to where I wanted it. And I think we're going to be pretty good right there. So now we're going to move on to the second piece. We're going to do the exact same thing. All right, so I'm pretty happy. Both sides all carved out, fit together. Nice. I'm going to adjust this top a little bit and then we're just about ready to go. So the next step in this is I'm going to take this and I'm just going to take a little bit of twine, or I'm going to take some inner bark, which we're going to be making our wick out of, and then I'm just going to tie this together like this. That's going to hold it in place for us, so when we load our wax up here in the top, it holds in really well. Now what I have with me today is paraffin wax. You can get this at any grocery store if you just look around inside. So we're going to be making the candle with this. So now that my wax is on the fire and my mold is all sealed together, we need to think about a wick. Now there's a ton of different things we can use for a wick. We can use anything from jute twine to actually buy wicks in a store, but we're bushcraft and so we need to make a wick. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I have some inner bark from tulip poplar. This stuff was just laying around. It's even a little bit damp, but that isn't going to hurt anything. So all that I'm going to do is I'm going to make just 2-ply reverse wrap cordage with this. I'm going to process it down just that quick, and then I'm going to do that. I'm going to link below my cordage making video. So if you don't know how to make cordage, go ahead and watch that and you'll get a good idea of how you need to make this in order to make a nice solid wick. So my wick is all done, as you can see right here. And then what I did at the top, when you begin a 2-ply reverse wrap, you're going to have a loop. So I put a small stick through there that's going to work as our toggle. So once I take my candle here, I could drop this down inside after I get the wax in, and this will be leaned against the top. As you can see though, right now it's bottoming out. So what I'm gonna have to do is come in here and just trim a little bit of that off. Now just take a little bit at a time. We want to try to make sure that wick goes almost to the bottom, which there it does. And then when that balances, just like on there with the hot wax, that wick will be somewhat centered. Now one thing you want to do before you actually start pouring wax is take a piece of your wax and you're going to go to the bottom as I already started, and if there's any little gaps, which there is a little bit here, okay, from the wood, what you're going to do is you're going to just force this wax in. That's going to seal up that bottom just enough to hold that hot wax when we pour it through, okay? So just grind that in. You got to put a little bit of muscle in there because we want to pack this in as tight as possible. That's going to seal the bottom and you're going to be good. All right, so now comes the wax pouring time. So just take your time with it. Try to get as much down inside as you can. Let it overflow the top a little bit, and then you're going to take our wick and we're going to press that down inside. Now, what is going to happen here as we go along is that you're going to lose some of this wax as it starts to cool. So I always like to top it off a little bit more. If it seems like some is draining out, again, we're just going to work with that wick for a little bit as that cools. Keep it very centered, and if we need to add a little bit more wax, we're going to do so as we go along here. Just keeping that topped off. All right, and I think we are about dry at this point, so I'm going to just remove all of our makeshift lashings on here. And I'm just going to take my knife along this edge and pop it. And then right there, we have ourselves a Bushcraft candle. So to get this top opened up, all that we're going to do now is we're just going to saw this a little bit. That frees up our wick, and now it's time to try it out. So normally with these wicks, you got to burn them a little bit to get them started until they start catching the wax a little bit too. And then just like that, we have ourselves a candle. Pretty cool. So there you go. We made a candle from a carved candle mold right here in the field. Simple, easy, and effective. So this was Dan Wowak of Coalcracker Bushcraft. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's another good fun activity when you're out here in the woods recreating to do. It teaches you about carving, wood selection, and then figuring stuff out on the fly if you're running into any problems. So definitely give this one a shot. We've been making candles since we started bushcrafting years and years and years ago, and we always have a good time with it. So as always, check us out at coalcrackerbushcraft.com, and until the next video, stay in the woods with your candle burning.